Hi, this is Lukas to explain to you German grammar. We're going to start with passive. Passive is when you want to say a sentence without saying the subject of the sentence. So if you think about your favorite politician when he's lying, he doesn't want to admit to his mistakes, so he doesn't use his own name. Or when the cookie jar is broken and someone is trying to explain it, they won't use their name. They'll just say the cookie jar was broken. So this is the present tense for passive. So here's the normal sentence. Der Mann trinkt die Milch. So in the passive sentence, the subject disappears and it can be added using von in the middle of the sentence, and the object of the sentence becomes the subject. And we use wird and the past perfect of the verb to create a sentence. And this sentence would say, the milk is drank. So this is present perfect, which is slightly different than present tense, but they still say pretty much about the same thing. So our active sentence here is Ich esse Frühstück. So Frühstück goes to become the subject, and the verb after it, which usually would either be haben or sein for the verb, depending on the verb, but here it is always sein, is a conjugation of this verb. And then you have the perfect past tense version of this verb, and then you have worden afterwards. And so having worden at the end makes this the present perfect, which is slightly different than normal present tense. Now we're jumping into the past tense. So this sentence here says, she bought the dog. And to put that into the simple past, saying the dog was bought in simple past, the object moves to be the subject again. And since this is a der word, since it is now the subject of the new passive sentence, it is der Hund instead of den Hund. And the von ihr, which would say who the subject was, does not actually need to be included, and wurde gekauft, because it is in the simple past, and this is the past perfect version of this verb, and wurde for past tense. While simple past can only be used in writing, past perfect can be used in speaking and writing. So, in the past perfect, in the active sentence, we have Sie hat den Hund gekauft. Den Hund still goes to be the subject, and den changes to der. But, in this one, we have hat instead of werden. And at the end, we still have the past perfect version of kaufen. And at the end, you add a worden to show that it is passive, and the subject can still either be there or not be there. So here's future tense passive. So here's the active sentence. I will buy the book in the future. So to turn this into passive, the book will be bought. So you use your conjugation of werden with das Buch becoming the subject of the sentence, and you can use the von clause to add your subject into the sentence, but it does not have to be in the sentence. And so you have your present perfect and werden at the end to signify that it is in the future tense. But another thing you can do with future is make it future perfect. And the only difference here is that you add sein at the end of that sentence. And so adding sein makes it future perfect, which still says the same thing as the book will be bought. Now, one thing that we haven't added yet was modal verben, which are something that when added to a sentence, bump the verb that would have been there to the end. So in this sentence, I must do something. So, muss is the modal verben, and machen is the normal verb in the sentence. So, to say something must be done, etwas becomes the subject, muss, the modal verb stays there, and gemacht goes into its past perfect, and werden is added at the end. Where here is another sentence without the modal verben, which just says something is done. So wird is the conjugated form of werden. So in this sentence, where wird would be, it is being sent to the end in the form of werden in its perfect form. So that's just the change in the modal verben as it sends the verb to the end. And that's the same with all the other different forms of passive. Go passive.